The Scarlet Hills had been painted red with imperial blood. Lord Apys was dead. Eronyx had fallen beside him. And somewhere beyond the reach of imperial justice, Crotor still rode free. But rumors and truth were not the same thing. Until word reached the capital, Emperor Garios could only wait. And in war, there were few things more dangerous than a man forced to wait. The gates of the western capital stood open beneath the morning sky as a lone rider entered the city at full speed. People watched from market stalls and narrow streets as the horse thundered past. Rumors had flooded the city for days. Every tavern carried a different version of the same story. Some claimed Apys had won a great victory. Others whispered that the imperial army had been annihilated. No one knew the truth, but the rider did. Mud stained his cloak, and dust coated his boots. The horse beneath him looked as though it had been ridden without rest for days, its sides heaving with every breath. He did not stop, racing past the keep's guards to the doors of the great hall where Emperor Garios held court. The throne room fell silent as the messenger entered. The rider dropped to one knee.
"My Emperor."
Garios leaned forward.
"You carry word from the Scarlet Hills."
"I do."
A tension settled over the room. Even the guards lining the hall seemed to hold their breath.
"Then speak."
The rider swallowed.
"It was a slaughter."
The word struck the room harder than any weapon.
The rebel Crotor laid a trap. The Khuzaits and Aserai joined him. Lord Apys marched directly into it.
The silence deepened.
The army was surrounded.
No one interrupted. No one dared.
The battle was lost.
For several moments, Garios said nothing. His expression remained calm. Too calm.
"And Apys?"
The messenger lowered his gaze.
He fell in the fighting.
Uneasy glances passed between the guards stationed throughout the room. Garios ignored it.
"Eronyx?"
The rider hesitated, then nodded.
Eronyx also perished.
The emperor slowly rose from his throne. The movement alone was enough to silence the room once more. There was only one question left. The entire hall knew where the conversation was headed. Even the guards standing watch along the walls seemed tense.
"My son?"
The words came quietly. The rider looked as though he wished to be anywhere else in Calradia.
"My Emperor."
The pause told Garios everything. Still, he demanded the answer.
"What happened to Thephilos? Where is my son?"
The messenger took a breath.
Word from the survivors says he stood with the last loyal men after Lord Apys fell. He rallied what remained of the army and continued fighting.
For the briefest moment, pride appeared in Garios' eyes. Then came the rest.
Crotor found him on the battlefield.
The pride vanished.
The two fought in single combat.
The messenger looked toward the floor.
And Thephilos did not survive. He was cut down by the rebel.
Silence settled over the throne room. No one dared to speak. Even Garios stood motionless, as though refusing to accept the words he had just heard. Then the fury came. The throne room erupted beneath the force of it.
"Crotor!"
The shout echoed from the stone walls. Several guards visibly flinched. Garios descended the steps of the throne with murder in his eyes.
"He murders my heir."
Another step.
"He destroys my armies."
Another.
"He tears this empire apart and yet still breathes."
The emperor turned toward the nearest guard.
"I want him found."
His voice carried through every corner of the hall.
"I want every road searched, every village questioned, every harbor watched."
The room listened in silence. Garios pointed toward them.
"Send the messengers. Let all Calradia hear my decree."
The room held its breath.
There will be 100,000 dinars paid to the man who brings me Lord Crotor.
The declaration struck the hall like thunder. Dead or alive, every man in the room understood what that amount meant. Men would cross continents for less. The decree hung in the air. The hunt had begun. Crotor had taken the Emperor's son. Now Garios intended to take everything from him in return. The rebel lord had finally made himself the target of the most powerful man in the West. Then a crossbow bolt slammed into the Emperor's chest. The impact staggered him. For a moment, Garios simply stood there, staring down at the shaft protruding from his chest as though he could not comprehend what he was seeing. The messenger was the first to move, rushing toward the Emperor, just as Garios' legs finally gave way beneath him. He struck the stone floor hard, and the hall erupted. Guards surged forward as shouts echoed from every corner of the room.
Find him!
The command thundered through the keep. Within moments, soldiers were racing through corridors, searching chambers, towers, courtyards, and every shadow they could find. The messenger joined the search himself, moving through the keep alongside the guards as panic spread throughout the capital. But there was no assassin, no fleeing killer. Whoever had fired the shot had vanished. Then the bells began to ring. Their mournful toll rolled across the city, carrying the news farther than any messenger ever could. Merchants abandoned their stalls. Citizens stopped in the streets. One by one, eyes turned toward the imperial keep. The Emperor was dead. The bells continued long into the day. By the following morning, the news had spread throughout the Western Empire. In only a matter of weeks, the Western Empire had lost Emperor Garios, his heir Thephilos, Lord Apys, and Eronyx. Men who had once seemed immovable had vanished from the board one after another. And now the question facing the West was no longer how to defeat Crotor. It was who would rule. Far beyond the capital, armies still marched. Alliances still shifted. Kings and queens still plotted beneath banners of war. But for the Western Empire, the future had suddenly become uncertain. And uncertainty, more than any army, had the power to destroy empires.